I'm suffering from an extreme case of tinnitus at times and photophobia to a certain extent. I would like you all to consider the difference between energy as a result of being worked up and the true spirit. We live in a crazed society which is enforcing social norms, sick social norms. Society is run by crazed madmen who are the very definition of their Western pirate cultures, who came not as a result of colonizing the West, but a result of the insufficiencies of their cultures. They are on the top of a pyramid of political groups that are aligned as a result of dishonorable shared cultural values. The left is an alliance of worldly, biased, complex, denying, immoral, effeminate, feminine groups that control the vast majority of the confused, disenfranchised poor peoples in America. The right is an alliance of neo-colonialists and Western extremists, meaning Western conservatism is extremism. Both parties are openly financed by corporate partnerships and their vast network of confidentiality agreement obeying subordinates. They use technology, media, government, science, especially disingenuous, cowardly science groups, chemistry, bribery, coercion, and psychology as their main mechanisms of control. With their network, within 1 hour, they can contact the most competitive martial artists in America. They have harassed me for at least 10 years, and their system has always hindered my progress in favor of the races behind it. I have challenged every group, especially martial artists, to a debate and sparring, and I am victorious. Even African Americans are part of their network and never lifted a finger to help me for the most part because I am the son of an African and not generations of Western subordinates. The honorable reaction to this society is also a sane one. It includes agitation, irritation, anxiety, fits of rage, and perhaps mood swings to a certain degree because of the chaotic environment and a desire to punish anyone who plays stupid or creates the environment. This is the logical and natural, even honorable reaction to a satanic crony capitalist system. If eating babies was done in a way that was healthy and that became normative, psychiatrists would drug anyone who expressed moral outrage as a result. They would use their network to feed into the pernicious falsehood that there is something wrong with that person that needs their eugenicist attention immediately. If it is logical to say, give me liberty or give me death in America back then isn't it obvious that the wise man would now say, give me death in combat, in the absence of even a speck of hope of freedom in the future? They could not beat me sparring because of they could not beat me sparring because of my superior religion, mind, body, soul, and spirit. Remember, religion means to reconnect or connect, right? When you go to Genesis 41:45, I believe, about the priestess of On, when you consider logic, how could religion not include a large degree of African explanations, a masculine martial art African explanation? We all come from Africa. I mean, if their ancestors, came here to a glacier that was melting and almost all but gone, they would say that it is sacred and holy and sacred ground. It's stupid. Certainly the only sacred ground is our common generation point. And of course, in a society full of masonry talking about commonalities, it is quite immature to not realize that there is no spirituality without Africa. There is no true religion and spirituality without an African martial arts perspective, which must be marshaled by the top martial artists, and I am the last one because of the trajectory of technology and things I discuss in my video. So now they are empty vessels screening me out together in shame with law enforcement's complicity. Because of this and all the physical harm they caused my body, I must declare that Black Africans are very obviously history's top martial artists and sun race, mind, body, soul, and cultivation of intense sun spirit. Martial arts no longer exist after me. just fools and weirdos who are willing to be complicit and have for a long time used drugs and technology to sabotage black people's mind, bodies, and souls, to then use the media, including social media, with psychology and psychological techniques to convince fools that their races are superior in every way. But in a natural environment, they fled in dishonor and jealousy, jealous of a black African martial arts order given by God and Spirit. They then lost the Spirit of God and bred in a worldly manner that cut them off from the ability to do true light temple, Spirit of God martial arts. They use psychology, drugs, technology, and privileged networks. Privileged network coward, con arts. Now, enjoy your cowardice and psychology. There is no afterlife for you. Can people whose complexes keep them from understanding the spirit realm to the point they hide and cheat, turn around and claim they have spiritual power? That's fucking insane. That's fucking insane. Technology and psychology do not mean spiritual power, you fucking morons. You worldly energy-filled spiritless vessels. I am part white and I can admit these things. I challenge you all to have the basic honor to do the same. Just basic levels of honor that they fail to achieve. America is the mother of all modern terrorist groups, be it our taught hypocritical stated ideas of freedom and democracy or a reaction to them. Modern terrorist groups. Okay, true sparring is the focus of spirit and soul and heart. Spirit pertaining to life and death. Not brutalizing, brute force, mutilating and deforming and harming people and causing cognitive impairment. That is immaturity, And to use financiers, privileged networks to leverage, to gain the upper hand on other people? What the fuck? You call this, what the fuck do you call that? And one only needs to take a look at me and how I look now compared to my other videos. I've lost tons of weight, and you can tell that I'm being sucked up like a prune. Obviously due to drugging. Obviously there's cognitive impairment. I have to now write down my speeches when I gave masterful in the spirit speeches before. Obviously there is no hope. No good person can lead a humanity full of the reproduction of traitors and lukewarm cowards into the Spirit of God in the future. How can a good person benefit from ill-gotten gains and the blood money of the international financiers? It just cannot be. There is no such thing as a leader anymore, just a misleader. Humanity is done. My family was the last consistent with sacred morality family there was. The chief of the righteous tribe brought to here, the spiritual leader rather, not the chief, but the spiritual leader from the royal family. Okay? Now that my dad bent over backwards to try to conform to spread his medicine, which treats cancer for the love of God. It treats cancer and it's suppressed. And they will certainly tap into it for their ill-gotten gains, bitch shit, right? Think about measurements. Women giving you their measurements. I'm 36, 22, 38 or whatever, right? Breasts, butt, waist, whatever. Measurements at the gym. Weights, okay? Measuring. Okay, measurements of clothes, Masonic measurements. Of course they figure it out. Body figure, athletic ability, coordination, combination, combination, presentation. Okay, think clearly. Martial arts clarity. You can fool the scientist. He's a fucking idiot with no common sense. You can fool the mathematician. They're fucking Einstein-looking weirdos who are out of touch with reality. But you cannot fool a natural leader who is a martial artist. You cannot fool your martial arts teacher. Only the intellect-based morons. The same people who would say my combination of 10,000s of proofs are just a coincidence. Just like my martial arts mind, body, soul, spirit argument. Even Hitler and the Nazis took measurements. Okay, it was martial arts which forged the athletic coordinated bodies of Africans, mind, body, and soul. Not basketball void of spirit, not boxing, martial arts. Affect, shunning the righteous is not love. Background stressors and financial stressors ignored How insane is that when we openly ignore these things? Oh, it must be biological dysfunction. While we're sabotaging the black community, we're saying they have biological dysfunction, and they have gyms and drugs and the advancements in technology and nutrition and nutritional supplements to forge white people to make them more coordinated. Are they then going to go in the future and say we've reconnected to nature and realize why they're wrong? So help me God, in the name of everything righteous, there is no doing that. Once you have effectively screened me out, you are in darkness. There is no light. I am the last uncontrolled, righteous man of God, a spirit light temple war artist, quote unquote, a martial artist, the only legitimate one. If a martial arts school exists, it's only because of treachery and complicity with crony capitalism. How could you miss that? There is no being mainstream without being evil. There is no being accepted by an evil, murderous, treacherous, imperialist system without being evil oneself. This is not being a black brain surgeon, not becoming a black brain surgeon in the late 60s and early 70s as an African, uncontrolled, without a secret society network like Ben Carson, like my father. This is not being the top martial artist like myself. This is common sense. How can you pretend I'm wrong about this and think that you have more honor, wisdom, or righteousness, or bravery, and you're more deserving of leading anyone? Together, you are cowards. Your groups came together in cowardice and denial and dishonor. By myself, I am greater than all the political groups combined. They have shown nothing but dishonor and a lack of even basic sense, much less wisdom. These undisciplined, indignant minds, these cowardly intellectuals, and the sapiosexual harlots that breed with them, my goodness, listen carefully. My ears right now are already ringing. They're hitting me with electromagnetism. A scientist and a doctor has shown me that. I have the prescriptions. I have the medications and so on. Okay? The eardrops, the eye drops. I have the scientific consensus and the doctoral consensus. This is not in my head. The disorder is in society and not in the masses of mental patients or the masses of the people. It's in the system of society and the cowardly political groups which are similar to ancient cults that act like cult centers and cult brainwashed, cult controlled individuals that propagate sinister falsehoods. I am not an intellectual. I am a wise man as a result of insight, intelligence, higher logic, critical thinking, and higher reasoning. To reproduce with intellectuals is a negative evolutionary activity. To evolve artificially in an unnatural environment is negative evolution. It is dishonorable, unwise, and evil. To reproduce with people who defy the natural order, especially with advanced science, is pure evil. They are going off on a tangent, helping pedophiles and sickos whose foundation is pedophilic Greek civilization and empires, Greco-Roman, murderous orgies, pedophiles, homosexuals. Look at your dollar bills. They depict homosexual depictions of people who probably were homosexuals, seeing how they were Masons and bisexuals, right? Andrew Jackson, Lincoln, Washington, it's kind of like they're channeling these homosexual facial expressions that you see so prevalent in our society, which are unnatural, and by God, they are induced and coerced into man in prisons, in political groups and otherwise. The system and the media, social media, social networking, right? The consensus of cowards and weaklings forcing their way on the righteous. The system will be destroyed by nature along with man, and you and your descendants will have bet everything against the possibility of an all-knowing, all-good, and all-powerful and just God, not to mention having lived in a state of pure dishonor and hate for righteousness for generations. You're giving your children hate. You must hate your children and your grandchildren and your descendants to inject them with this hate and this need to be hateful and push away everything that is good and redefine love, which is really the hate for true love, and to reproduce in that spirit and to put them at the mercy of these sickos and pedophiles. You must really hate your children to reproduce now and to not fight to the death and tell your children why that they should do the same. in a way they'll never forget. This is the systematic removal of the spiritual order for the benefit of sickos. Well, I'm out of time. Hopefully you understand my message. Hopefully you don't miss the key points. You'd have to be insane to miss it.